There are two things that I don't believe a reviewer can ever properly test for. And this was raised as a comment in one of my recent videos or reviews. I think it was the one where I talked about the issues around manufacturers trying to prevent reviewers from saying anything negative. The two things I don't think that a reviewer can ever properly test for are reliability and customer service. And I know that's something that would be amazing if we were able to actually give you that feedback, but it's actually not properly possible. And I want to talk about why. Before I do, I also want to address the idea that me talking to you here while I'm driving might be unsafe. And I just wanted to point out the fact that it's absolutely no different to me talking to a friend sitting next to me in the car. So think of yourself as my passenger for this ride. You can get out now if you want to, or you can hold on and we'll go for a fun drive together. But coming back around to product reliability and customer service, the reason I don't believe any reviewer can ever properly test that is that, actually, let's go back a step. The first thing to talk about in that sense is that, yes, there is the ability for a reviewer to do a long-term review. So having the product for a long period of time, using it extensively and bringing that out. One small point on that is the fact that many times people want the reviews of the newest possible products as soon as they're available. And so if we as reviewers were to try to live with a product for, say, 6 months, using it daily before we did the reviews, a couple of things that are going to happen is that, firstly, you're going to wait 6 months plus for reviews. And secondly, the other thing that's going to be a problem is that the review cycle would be almost impossible, because if we're using, let's say, one DAC for 6 months straight, like a normal person would, as in not a reviewer, then we can't be properly testing any other DACs at that time. So that's really hard. Then the second layer to this is the fact that as a single person, no matter how much we use a particular product, spend time with it, play with it, etc., we still can't really give you a good snapshot and insight into reliability and customer service. Well, let's split that into two things. Firstly, if we talk about the reliability of the products, we're only using one sample. And so if that particular sample has a flaw, you're going to know about it. If that particular sample never has a flaw, you're not going to know about it because it won't come up in the review. Either way, it's only one sample. And I often see conversations around certain brands having bad reliability, bad quality control. Hyphaman comes up all the time. But unfortunately, what that's built on is that sometimes it's because there is a huge volume of those products sold. And so you're only going to hear from the people that have problems with those products. And so if you have a high volume product that has therefore some failures and people getting cranky and angry, understandably, in forums, then you're only seeing the people that are unhappy. Everybody that's happy with the product isn't jumping online saying, hey, I've got an HE1000 SE that's never missed a beat, because you don't post about that sort of thing. And so coming back around to, as a reviewer, we are only one data point. And so if a product is being sold by the thousands upon thousands, our one data point, whether it's good or bad, means nothing at all when it comes to reliability. So that one, I think, is kind of the key point around is around reliability. And then if we move over to customer service, let's say we do have something go wrong. Even if we do have something go wrong, the chances are that our experience of customer service, unfortunately, is going to be different to yours as a general consumer. For example, I am most often going to be talking to somebody at the company that is not the general customer service channel. I'm going to be talking to somebody that's in marketing or PR, or a third party even, PR company sometimes, that arranges review samples to go out to all different reviewers. And if that's the case, when I have a problem with a product, which doesn't actually happen very often, but on the occasions that it does, like the Sivga P2 Pro that I reviewed recently, when I had an issue with that, I reached out to the contact that arranged the product for me and said, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Is this normal? Is this wrong? And we resolve it that way. And that often means them sending out another unit to see if that one works better, to see if the same issues are there, whatever it might be. And so my point is, our customer service experience is also non-standard. It's also very different. it's fair to say that we're going to get favourable treatment, because obviously the companies want to make sure that the reviewers don't have a bad experience and don't put out negative reviews as a result. And I'm not saying that's deceptive, I'm not saying that's wrong, it's just different. If you had a friend working at a company, and this isn't to say that all reviewers are friends with all manufacturers, because that's definitely not the case, but let's pretend for a moment that you had a friend that worked for Acme headphones. And if you had an issue with your Acme headphone, you're probably going to email or message or call your friend and say, hey, my Acme X13 has just died, what do I do? And they're going to take care of you because they're a friend of yours, they're a personal contact with a personal relationship. Unfortunately, for the average consumer with most companies, unless you've got a great retailer that you're dealing with, for the average consumer with most companies, you're going to be dealing with someone you've never met. It could be some group kind of call center type situation. It could go into a ticket system and just the next person in the queue picks it up. There's lots of different things that could go on there. And unfortunately, that's a part of large retailing type businesses. Whether it's the manufacturers of those products or the retailers themselves, it's just a reality of anything that's bought and sold at scale. So the long story short of this is, I would love as a reviewer to be able to give you really clear answers on how reliable something is, what the customer service is like. But unfortunately, the reality is we just can't do it, at least not in a way that I think is responsible. If I was to jump up and down when I did occasionally have an issue with a product, it would actually be very unfair on the company, because mine might have just been the one dud out of thousands and thousands of units. And so I think all that has to be taken into account when we're talking about the quality of the product. I definitely think we should, and I always do, talk about if build quality feels shonky or if it feels excellent, if functionality doesn't feel good, that should be talked about. Any of those things absolutely are important, but general reliability and customer service, very, very hard to cover. And on that note, stay tuned. I've got another topic to talk about that relates closely to this, which is talking about or not talking about the issues with a product, interface issues, things like that. This came up in my recent review of the FiiO K19. Some people felt I was really nitpicky with it, and I think that's another one that's worth discussion. So if you're enjoying these chats, if you want to see me talk about why I was nitpicky in that review, then make sure you subscribe and keep an eye out for the next one of these that comes out. It might not be the next one or the one after. And also, if you've got a specific thing, if you've got a question, a concern, anything at all really that you want to talk to me about with the channel, a question you want to ask, that's more general stuff, so not about a specific product, but more looking at the things that you've often wondered about channels. Think of it almost as an AMA. Then do put it in the comments. I'll have a read, and if any of those are things that I think I can talk about effectively in this format, then I'd be glad to do so. So anyway, thanks for coming for the drive, and notice it was a very safe trip once again. I promise I am driving safely, and I look forward to chatting to you next time. So happy listening, be kind to each other. I'll see you here next time on Passion for Sound.